Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday evening, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with life. And for those of you who may be new, welcome, a very big welcome to you all. DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together every Friday and Sunday. We get together twice on a Friday, once at lunchtime, Pacific time at noon, and then again on Friday evening, this one, at 7 p.m. Pacific. And then we get together again on Sunday afternoon to talk about coping with stress. So 3 of them, Friday lunchtime, coping with feelings, because we all have them all of the time. And then this one on a Friday evening, coping with life, because we all live it. And then last but not least, on Sunday afternoon, coping with stress, because we all suffer from it. So a very big welcome to you all. Feel free to participate or just listen in. Some people just do other tasks and listen at the same time. Whatever it is, however it works for you, I am more than happy. We had one viewer today who is a much loved viewer of ours called Nada, and she was saying that she listened for over a year before she ever made a comment. And that is fine. All we're here to do is to try and help you cope with life and to show you how we're coping with ours. And I think that's the important thing. All the time we think we're the only one who has things happening to them, or, struggling without money, or, whatever it is. We think we're the only ones. And the truth is we're not. Hi there, Jody and Isa. Good to see you both. And it really is an incredible kindness, I think, of the regular viewers who come in every week and are prepared to be here and support all those who may never, ever make a comment. We will never know who they are. But I know that the regular viewers are prepared to talk about their week and what's going on, just so we can help other people. And for that, I love you so much, really. It's so kind of you to do that. We're talking this year about it being January, and that's the first chapter of the year. And, so far we've turned 29 pages of January. We're nearly finished chapter 1. Isn't that scary to think of? And it seems to have just flown by. I don't know whether it's just for me, but it's just like, what happened to January? And in fact, for me, what happened to this year? It's like, it's just absolutely been a roller coaster year for me. For those of you who don't know, I moved into a new house a year ago in January, and only to have it catch fire in September. And from September to now, I've been living very luxuriously in a rented apartment. I say, very luxuriously, but without my things. All my things are in storage. I have basic wardrobe, basic kitchen supplies, basic anything, and that's it. But, I've learned to cope, and that's what life is all about, is can you adjust? And the answer is, you bet we can. I want to talk more about this adjusting, because I think it's really important that we all understand that with the pandemic, with the cost of the pandemic around the world, we're going to see probably a few years, if not a few decades, of severe money shortages, and we're going to have to get very creative, which is quite exciting if we want it to be. How many of you can see that you could make this an awfully exciting time to find out just what are you capable of doing? Wasn't it Eleanor Roosevelt who said, you don't know how strong a woman is. She's like a tea bag. You don't know how strong she is until you stick her in hot water. And I'm going, yeah, I think my viewers are a lot like that. So we're going to be talking about abundance today, and I'm going to give you a case study of something that happened to me between the lunchtime broadcast and now. But before we do, I just wanted to say a belated birthday to Erin, who had a birthday on the 26th, a couple of days ago, and then also to Becca, who had a birthday yesterday. So I hope you both had wonderful birthdays this week, and our thoughts and prayers are with you that you have a wonderful year, and that, we're all here to celebrate it again next year. That's my bigger hope. So let me just tell you what happened between the two broadcasts, because I thought it was a great example of what we get every day and how we process it. After I finished the broadcast, I grabbed something to eat quickly, and then I sat down and started to go through my emails. And one email that I had was from the governing body, if you like, of these apartments. And they wrote to say that, and listen up on this one, that on Monday, there will be no hot water, and something else. What's the other thing? Oh, rats. I forgot what the other thing is. Oh, yeah. How could I forget that? And no heat on Monday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. Can I get your immediate reaction to that? So on Monday, I'm going to wake up and there's going to be, it's probably going to be chilly, and there's going to be no hot water and no heat until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I want your first reaction, because then we'll talk about how do we shift that reaction and make Monday maybe a fun day instead of a disastrous day. My first reaction was, oh, not polite word. And then Jody's got an emoji as her immediate reaction with, ah. Yeah, that was mine too, for a split second, but it didn't last very long. And then I started to think, okay, what are my feelings about that? And part of me was angry. It's going to mess with my day. I got things planned for Monday, and I'm going, well, get over it. Get over it. Get over it. Get over it, because you're going to have to reorganize if that's your plan. And then I decided I was going to give thanks. I was going to give thanks it wasn't electricity, or that the internet was going to go down for that long, or, and I thought of all the things that it could have been and wasn't. It was just hot water and heat. Now, I was in Maine in an ice storm that happened maybe 15 years ago, or more, 20 years ago maybe. I was in Maine, and that was, having we had no heat and no electricity for days. And I want to tell you, that was cold. That was really cold. And I'm thinking, I live in British Columbia, touch wood, as far as I know, and I have to check it. I don't believe there's snow in the forecast on Monday. I believe it's going to be a typical British Columbia day. It'll probably be wet or dismal, but not snow. And so I started to think of all the good sides of it, right? And then I thought, how do I make this day fun? Any ideas, people? Knowing that Monday I'm not going to have any heat or any hot water. Well, that's not true either, is it? Because I can have hot water if I want it. I might not be able to have a bath necessarily, unless I want to work really hard. But if I want hot water, I'm a camper. If I want hot water, I can boil it. All right. So if I want hot water to wash, I can boil it. I don't have a kettle here. Oh, I do actually, now that I think about it. The apartment does have a kettle, but as I never use a kettle, I stuck it away somewhere. But I can just boil some water and create hot water. So that's good. And then I started to think, well, instead of making it a bad day, what if I make it an incredibly good day? And I'm wondering if any of you can think how, it's a camping day. Now, Jody, this is the whole thing. What would I normally do if I were camping? I wouldn't rush to get up, would I? So number one, I have full permission to sleep in as long as I want to. Why? I'm likely to be still warm there. Yes, Jody, I agree. What if I made it a reading day? And Isa knows me really well. Sal, as long as you've got coffee, you're going to be fine. I agree with you, Isa. Cheers. So I'm going, I may have to quickly run to the kitchen and brew a quick cup and then run back to the bedroom and, enjoy my cup of coffee in bed for a change. And then I was, then my mind went, but what if I made it a binge watching day? That I gave myself full permission to stay in my jammies all day long and just binge watch, maybe rewatch Bridgerton or, something like that. And then I thought, oh, rats. My television set with all those sort of extra programs on it is in the living room, not in the bedroom. So I went, but wait, this is a pull-out couch, pull-out bed. So I'm going, hang on, people, we're doing some stretching exercises. And then I thought, well, I could pull out the bed here and I could get as snug as a bug in a rug, bring all my beautiful quilts and my warm blankie and everything and, wrap up like a bug in a rug and just binge watch all day long, and sleep and binge watch and sleep. I've got a feeling, well, first of all, I probably wouldn't wake up much before 11. And by the time I've had a couple of coffees, that would make it about 1, 12:30, 1. Well, I wouldn't have to binge watch too much before everything started working again, supposedly at 4. Now, you and I both know that there could be a little bit of adjustment on that time, all right? That as soon as the heat comes back on, they could end up with a glitch, right? So I'm not expecting it all to work perfectly. And then I thought, or anybody got a plan B? If I don't make it a binge watching day, what else could I do? Any ideas? I could read all day. Anything else? You see, and this is the whole thing about having a flexible mental attitude. I thought, I could just go out for the afternoon, right? I'm not going to wake up much before lunchtime. I could paint, but I've got a feeling that would be chilly, Jody. And because I need to be standing up and I don't have warm painting clothes. You know what I mean? So that one I thought about and discounted it. But I thought, what? I could go out. Just because there isn't any heat here doesn't mean I couldn't go to the local mall and, go window shop. I prefer not to because it's risky, but, I could do that. Or I could go to a restaurant and have a long, long lunch. And maybe invite somebody to join me. Hi, Andy. Andy's saying, I've been thinking about you a lot lately. We definitely have to talk sometime soon. Yeah, when you make up your mind that you definitely want to do it, book some time with me, Andy. So I know exactly when to be around. But it's great to see you. And I noticed that you seem to be doing really well with your YouTube stuff. So well done. How does one book time? Okay. You just dropped me a note at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. Or are we friends on Facebook? And you can message me on Facebook if you, and we can do it that way. But I do prefer to book a time to do it, Andy, because then, I've got other people that I'm helping. So I want to make sure that that I've got you slotted in. All right. So here is the whole thing. All right. Can you see that I could make Monday the day that I go out and do a lot of tasks that I need to do? I need to go bank a check. That's, I have to go and physically bank a US check, and I've got one. So I could go and do that. And I'm thinking, which would I rather do? Snuggle as like a bug in a rug, or go out and bank a check. Yeah, and then I thought, well, how could I make that trip more enjoyable? Well, part of my Christmas present was not only my beautiful easel, but I also got a gift card for this art store. And I thought maybe I could go and ask them how much they charge me to frame this picture. Because I've done a little bit of research online, and I know how much it would cost me to have it done online, for them to send me that size frame. But I thought maybe I should go to that store because they need to know that I am, somebody that's going to be popping in now and then. And I thought, this is Benji, this is number 2. I'm just starting this one. And again, of course, you can see recycling. But this is going to be, what do we call this? A pixel. Picsal, a pixel. Pixel 2 of Cityscape. So that's going to be fun to do. But can you all see that it's up to me whether Monday is a disastrous day? All right, so Beth is saying I would take it as a sign to get out of the house. Yes, and that's the whole thing. I could actually have the best of both worlds, couldn't I? I could just sleep in and then get dressed pretty quickly because it's going to be cold, and then get out of Dodge and go and do a couple of things, which would give me achievement. How many of you feel better when you've achieved something? So the point that I wanted to make is, do you all agree that whether it's a good day or a bad one is mostly predicated on how I choose to see it? Make sense? Jody was telling us a story at lunchtime about how she decided she was going to cut out some new masks this week. And she managed to sew one mask on back, inside out or whatever, the filter section of it. And instead of being her old self, which was beating up on herself for being so stupid, she apparently just burst out laughing and went, yeah, it actually works better the other way, so let's try that. And she got out her magical seam ripper and undid the stitches and turned it around. And she said she realizes now how much of her life she spent beating up on herself, saying that she was stupid or not clever enough or whatever. And she said now she just laughs. And I think that's a wonderful bit of news to hear from a viewer, right? That they've gone from the one sort of mentality into a totally different one. So let's have a look at the shifts that I would need to make to get from that initial reaction, which is what do you mean they're going to turn off the heat for a day, to, this could be a fun day. It's up to me. Number 1, does it make sense that I needed to let go of the fact that I was ruler of the universe and nobody should mess with my day? Do you understand my thinking here? That I was, instead of having that mentality, I was glad that obviously they need to do something. Wow. Beth is saying, we lost a co-worker to COVID today. Live every moment to the fullest. And live it to the fullest every second. Absolutely, Beth. Yes, be grateful that you wake up. I hope I make it through to Monday. So Beth, my heart goes out to you, and I know how difficult that must be for all of you. Is it somebody that was in your store or somebody within the family of the company for whom you work? Because I know that Dollar General has a lot of stores all over the place. It's somebody that you knew, or was it a co-worker in the actual store? Yeah. And Beth, it's important that you, and I thank you for telling us and taking that risk of telling us, because, somebody in your store. Wow. So that would have hit everybody very hard. Are they now bothering to mask up? because I know you had a problem with some of them not masking up before. And if possible, Beth, double mask them. I was hearing that if you can, wear a surgical mask and then cover that with a cloth one, is the new recommendation. So, Beth, if there's any way we can support you, let us know. In the meantime, she got sick 2 days ago and then died. Did she have any pre-existing condition or, that made her immune system? Oh, I'm sure you're in shock. Yeah, absolutely, Beth. It would be quite normal to be in shock. So do you feel a bit numb, Beth? Okay, she was only 32 years old and healthy. All right, so do they have any idea why it hit as hard as it did? Well, I think, Beth, that's a real wake-up call for us all right? That think we're, this is a hoax or whatever. 2 days ago, this was a 32-year-old healthy person, and today she's not with us anymore because of COVID. So it's, it's not just attacking old farts like me, right? It's attacking everybody. Beth is saying, I don't know how I feel. I haven't cried yet. I have to stay strong for my team. Who told you that, Beth? Who told you you have to stay strong? You see, I would think it would be healthier. Yeah, you told yourself that. Okay. There's part of me that goes, maybe it would be healthier to get everybody together and go, am I the only one that needs a bit of a cry and a hug right now? But let's do it, let's do it safely. And let's do virtual hugs, not, real ones, because we need to try and stay socially distant, even though we work together. And I would actually say it out loud, because that's giving your staff permission to feel. And it's really important that they do feel. All right. We did so much damage to so many, and particularly to men, I would say, to so many people when we said, boys don't cry. Well, hello. Yes, they do. And yes, they should, if that's what it feels like. I've met some incredibly together guys in my life who had the honesty to cry in front of me. And I've got to say that because it is an honesty that goes, they really were hurting that bad. And they felt, thank goodness, they felt safe enough to cry in front of me. To me, I think it's wrong that we tell people, well, you've got to stay strong for the children, or you've got to stay strong for the team, or whatever. I'm going, maybe that is not necessarily the best advice. Maybe the best way to help everybody is to let them feel, to give them. I must admit that I've always said that whenever anything major happens whenever I was working, if anything major happened, good or bad, I would make sure that we stopped and addressed it, because it actually saves an awful lot of time in some ways, that everybody goes, okay, now let's make sure we talk about this, because I want to give you that opportunity. Obviously, we've still got to work, but let's quickly talk about this and talk about how we're feeling, so that we don't spend all day doing it, but we at least get an idea of where everybody's at and what sort of support they need. So, Beth, think about that. And I would definitely not encourage you not to cry. If you need to cry, then do it. Let Charles hold you. Just tell Charles. Charles is her husband. Just say to Charles, hey, I need you to hug me for a moment. I need to cry. And stop, Beth. One of your biggest challenges always is to stop and be real. All right, because you're always the Energizer Bunny, because that's how you deal with things. But I would say, if you can actually say, I need to stop for a second and just feel, so that I can be healthy. because this is a huge shock. And I can just do this again. Let's just remind everybody what's going to happen. And by the way, we're all feeling shock right now, right? When you hear that. And so just remember, it's going to have a life of its own. And it doesn't matter whether you've lost a person or a set of keys or your best friend or whatever. And when I say lost, it can be to death and it can be whatever. But you will go through this cycle of loss where you start off in denial. Oh, no, I can't believe that. Always the first thing. Then you get into anger. And I'm just going to do the basic ones. And then you get into sadness. And then somewhere around here, you start getting into acceptance. And the strange thing is, before you sort of complete the cycle, the strange thing is that this sort of yo-yos backwards and forwards, Beth. So expect there to be waves of being okay, followed by waves maybe of sadness, or not. Maybe you'll just go back to anger. But know that anger is part of the process, and it's important that you honor your personal process. Just because sadness is part of the cycle doesn't mean you have to cry, right? Everybody has their own way of doing grief. But you understand you do the same thing, that even if you lose your keys, I can't believe I'm stupid enough to lose them. And then you're angry at yourself for losing them. And then you're sad because you're going to waste time and everything else, and frustrated as well. And then eventually, you accept that you need to do something to change this. So Beth is saying, interesting, Beth is saying, I'm staying away from my husband. I can't be around anyone. I have been exposed. Distant support only. And well, it's bigger than that for you there, Beth, right? Because you actually have had it. What did I do with the wiper thing? Where's the eraser, people? Okay, plan B. Because you've already had it. You had it back a year ago. So, Beth was one of the first people to get it. But I hear, Beth, if I heard it correctly today, I heard that we can get it time and time again as the different strains come in. And we don't know yet whether it's going to help. Yes, and Beth is saying, okay, just tell me if you want me to repeat that, Beth. That's pretty personal stuff, so let me know if it's okay, because it'll be on the replay. Okay, so Beth is saying, yes, I can't deal with that sickness again. I'm on a chemo pill. Yeah, so, and Beth is one of those viewers of mine who I just, shake my head at their bravery. Here is Beth dealing with being on chemo and still working like the Energizer Bunny, and dealing with life when a lot of people would be curled up in a ball and going, well, I'm on chemo, so I can't do anything. So Beth, I want you to know, you continue to inspire me. I did that the wrong way, right? It should be more like that. You continue to inspire me to just how incredible you are. And I think your team is very lucky to have you at their home. So, but even though you can't physically be held, are you still living in your house? Or are you living socially distant within your house or apartment or wherever you live? Hi, Rinsky, good to see you. How incredibly difficult. That's come home very quickly, hasn't it, Beth? You know, 1 minute it's like, you know, we're listening to, you know, COVID, and then we hear about the new variety and so forth. So you're confining yourself to a bedroom. I can't imagine you doing that, right? Because who's bringing you food? Do you come in and drop your clothes immediately? Tell us how you're dealing with that, Beth. I'm certain everybody needs to know in case we get it. Are you throwing all your clothes into the washing machine immediately? You know, what are you doing? And I wonder how your co-worker got it. You know, it might not have been at work. You know, it could have been you know, at home, or just literally passing somebody on the street. But I am sure, you know, Beth's saying, I'm in my black hole again. I'm in quarantine. That, you know, Beth, so you're not going to work. So is the store closed while you're all in quarantine? Or did they bring in other people to work the store? They brought in other people to work the show. Okay, so life goes on, but you guys that were but you don't know that she got it at the store. The store is closed. Okay, so but you don't know that she got it at the store, right? To be honest, it's a very high possibility, but let's be honest, you don't know that for sure. She could have literally passed somebody in the street who coughed or did something, and she got it that way. All right. So, and how long are you in quarantine? For 2 weeks? And then I presume the whole store has to be sanitized, every single thing in it, including, or will the virus have died within 2 weeks? I'm not sure. Does anybody know? I would think, though, from a commercial point of view, they'll probably bring in a disinfectant crew and go through the whole place. That would be the fastest way to disinfect a whole building. Okay, so you're going to be shut down for 10 days. Yeah, so yes, Rinsky, I keep hearing different times as well, which is why I am asking. All right, so Beth, you know, my heart bleeds for you, literally. No, I hope it doesn't. I hope my heart is not bleeding. I hope it's just working beautifully. Let me rephrase that. Be careful what you say, Sal. So the store is only closed for 2 days, but you are going to be in quarantine. As the manager, you're going to be in quarantine for 10. All right, Jody, of course, has done the research while we were talking. She's so good at that. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin and a wizard at research on the fly. She's saying the coronavirus can live for hours to days on surfaces like countertops and doorknobs. How long it survives depends on the material surface that the surface is made of. For example, it has a different shelf life on glass than it may have on furniture, you know, on fabric. It has a different life on marble as opposed to tile. You know what I mean? So it'll have different life on different things. So I would think if they're only closing the store for 2 days, they will have a crew go in and just literally disinfect the whole place. And Beth is saying, I worked so hard to get that store nice. Even when I get through this, I'm worried about my store. Of course you are. It's who you are, Beth. But you know something? If anybody can get that store back into shape, even if it looks not quite as tidy as you would have had it. So this is about, you remember I started off by saying you need to let go of being ruler of the universe, right? When you go back to work, please remember that it's not up to your standard. And, just take another week to get it back to your standard. Does that make sense, Beth? Don't get frustrated by it. Just go, yep, what do I expect? They just won't ever keep it up to my standard. That's why I'm the number one in the region. And expect that. Be prepared for that, not scared of that. And just go, okay, well, I've got time to get it back into shape. And don't be frustrated about the fact that it's going to be not up to your standard. Just go, that's perfectly normal. But the main thing is, hopefully you will survive long enough to be able to see it. I'd concentrate on the positive of that rather than the negative. And what are you worried about your store? That other members of your staff could have got it, or that members of your public that, you see, but I'm not totally convinced that it came from your store. But it will affect your store, it has to. So now I'm going to ask you, if you are quarantined to a bedroom, yes, at least I will be alive. That's the second thing, right? That is to concentrate on the positives. Right. And Beth is saying, I know the store doesn't matter. Of course the store matters to you. The store is your baby. I understand that totally, Beth. It does matter to you. To say it doesn't matter to you would be a lie. And you're saying, I'm just sad, not thinking straight. It's normal. Remember, it's part of that cycle. And you're going to get sad and angry, and you go, girl. You do whatever you need to do. It is perfectly normal for you to do that. Hey, and I'm pretty certain everybody that's here listening to this is going through that same cycle. How many of you were angry? How many of you, when you heard that death happened in Beth's store, or not in the store, but that it was one of the people that works with Beth, how many of you went into that saying, I don't want to hear that? You automatically go into denial. Just hearing about it, you automatically go into anger. Of all people, it shouldn't happen to Beth. And then how many of you feel sad that Beth has to go through this? Of course. And so when we see that that is a cycle we all go through, then it's okay, Beth. The other thing is, I'd like you to be really grateful that you can still use your electronics. Be grateful that you still can use. Do you have a television in that bedroom? And who is cooking the meals? And so you've got 10 days off, which you definitely are not used to. You struggle to take 2 days off. So you've got 10 days off. Right. And Rinsky, I love the honesty of that. Rinsky saying, I tend to stay in denial. Yes. And that's not good. Well, but it's good that you know that. So again, Rinsky, one of the things I was saying, what shifts did I have to make? And what shift does Beth need to make this 10 days of isolation possible? Number one, to understand it's not all about her, but it is about keeping her family safe, right? Not just Charles, her husband, but also her daughter and the grandchildren and everybody else. It's really important. And the other thing is, we know that just because the co-worker got it doesn't necessarily mean that Beth has got it again. Beth, it's, you are an incredibly tough cookie in so many levels. Oh, and Jodi's saying the same thing. Beth has proven just how strong she is, and I have every faith that she'll overcome this challenge as well. Yes, what I'm looking for is she, I know you're still in shock, but start working out, okay, you're going to have another test tomorrow. Okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So it's not all about you, all right? It's about, I know that, it's about your coworkers, it's about your store. Totally normal, Beth. The next thing is to know that you can do this, all right? You can do what needs to be done. Just do it one step at a time, all right? The next thing, like myself with my problem on Monday, think about how can you make the shutdown of being isolated in quarantine. Is there any way you could make that fun? You might not be ready for that discussion right now, but I'd like you to remember that's a really important thing to say, I am forced to take 10 days off. I'm sad for the reason, but I have got 10 days where I don't go to get work. What am I going to do with them? All right? What am I going to do with them and be safe? It's really important. I would think as well, Beth, if there's any way that you can look at it this way, and for those of you who are believers of any sort that have faith, I'm a great believer if something like this happens in my life, there's a reason for it, all right? That I need to rest. It's time for me to take 10 days off. And that's why this is in my universe at the moment. Makes sense. And therefore to honor it and go, okay, I'm going to do something that is really peaceful and good for me for 10 days. Maybe learn something new or read, see how many books. I would try and read through a series, a book that has a series, so that maybe you can get through 2 or 3 books in that time. The other thing to do, Beth, is to make sure that you listen to your body, because this is a big shock to you. And I would also, I'm pretty sure you're in touch, probably texting with your staff members. Am I correct on that? To make sure that they're okay, because that's who you are. I'll wait until I get some feedback on that. Because to me, this is about, this could be a wonderful time for you to bond with your staff members in a totally different way. All right? That just because you are all in the same boat and you are all forced to do this, you can handle it a totally different way. And, I don't think they would ever forget the fact that when this happened, you were there to support them. And also to make sure they understand that they're going to get these waves of being angry and sad and whatever, and that's perfectly normal. I'd also, if I were you, Beth, I would also double check, and you probably already have done this, but what the company's EAP, Employee Assistance Program, looks like. In other words, if people are going into panic of any sort, do they know that the company has an employee assistance program, if you do, where they can get some therapy as part, and not have to find the money, right? That the company covers it for maybe 6 visits or something. Very important at a time like this. What does the company do to support you through this, all right? And make sure they know. And if you don't know, make sure you ask your district manager. Because keeping people mentally healthy whilst they are in shock and grieving is, I think, really important. And it sort of helps them, and to let them know it's perfectly normal to be a bit stunned by this. Of course you are. You understand that everybody, is now fearful for their own lives. If this happened to my coworker, how do I know I haven't got it? So is everybody getting tested? I would think, right? All the employees are getting tested. Such a difficult time. And as I said, a big wake-up call for us all. Don't treat this lightly. I was, for those of you who know my neighbor, Betty Ann, from my house, where I'm not living at the moment, but when I get home, it's her birthday today. And normally I would have gone over there to take her something. But, I haven't been feeling well for about a week now. And I said to her, I just want to tell you I'm not coming over. And, she said, well, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, because, we normally have dinner together on a Sunday. She's my one person I'm allowed to visit. And I wrote back and said, I'm not even sure that I will be there again this Sunday, because I missed last Sunday because I wasn't feeling well. And I said, because I'm not quite sure what I've got. And I don't know about the rest of you, but as long as I am not sure what I've got, I'm pretty sure I don't have COVID, because I'm sneezing, but I am having headaches and I am not feeling great, but I am not that sick. I just feel like I've got a low grade something. And my attitude is that, I need to keep myself away from people I love, for fear that I might have something that, although my immune system is handling it, that maybe theirs won't. So I'm much more aware of that than ever before. Rinsky saying, one of my coworkers died of COVID a few months back. I didn't know that, Rinsky. He was young and healthy and just got married last year. So sad. Yeah. So this is the whole point. This COVID is not selective. It'll take anybody. And look at that. Beth, for her to have got, I presume it was a she, for her to have got sick and be dead within 2 days is horrifying. It's like the friend of mine, just at Christmas time, who a week before Christmas got diagnosed with a brain tumor and was dead by Boxing Day, December the 26th. It's just like too fast. And I can't even go and grieve with the wife. It's very, very difficult to do this. So the other thing is that I realize that I need to do, and Beth will need to do as well, is, number one, it's not all about her. It's about the other people that are affected, obviously, and she knows that. To know that she can do this, she can be in lockdown for 10 days. It's going to require a lot of shifting of her mentality, but she can do this. Number three, as I had to do as well, how can I make this a better day? You're never going to make this fun when you're talking about losing a coworker, but you can use that time to good advantage, whether it is to help, the team members and support them, form a private little support group for all of you that you can talk the truth to. And, Beth, if there's any way I can help, I will. If there's any way that I can help you in this. And then the third thing is, what preparation needs to be done? And I'm going to use my situation as an example, and then I'm sure Beth will work out what prep she needs to do, by that. So if I know that on Monday I'm not going to have any heat or hot water, what preparation do you think is necessary? Wow, Sharon, first of all, hi, good to see you, Sharon. But Sharon's also saying, I know of someone who died of COVID, tested positive, and then died 2 days later. He was 80. Yeah, can you believe that Beth's co-worker was healthy and only 34, and that happened in 2 days? That's a wicked bug, that one. And of course, we don't know, was it the original COVID or is it this new strain that's out there? No, I'm not going to have heat or hot water. Now, because I'm a camper, I know that hot water isn't an issue. I can boil water. I also, if you think about it, if we've got electricity, then I've also got heat, because I have got, this is going to be interesting, because I've got electrical heat panels in the place. So the question is, will I not have the regular heat, which I think heats everywhere to a certain degree? Then I'm thinking, hey, if I really want heat, can I put on the oven? And create more heat. How many of you are going, I won't put the range on, but what if I actually turn the oven on and let the place have a bit of heat from there? It's like, make a plan. I won't have heat from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So a really good idea to sleep in that day. Under all my quilts and blankies and everything else. Really important that I cover myself up pretty well for that. And so, I look at it and go, how prepared can I be? How prepared do I need to be? Well, actually, when you think about it, not that prepared. If I've got electricity, that means I can cook. I've got cold water. They just said it was the hot water that would be affected. Hi, Sandy. Sandy, did you hear what Beth was talking about? I just would like to repeat it if you haven't. All right, so Rinsky's saying, I have to sit in my car for lunch since COVID. I found a way to stay warm without having the car on. Oh, that's interesting. How do you do it? All right, just so you know that one of Beth's co-workers, 34-year-old, healthy, got sick 2 days ago and died from COVID. And so we're just trying to help Beth work through this at the moment. So please, everybody, be really, really aware. And I know that you are being careful. But again, if you can, wear 2 masks, not 1. The new flu is, it's much easier to catch than the original one. And therefore it will be more deadly, which is the peculiar thing. Let me try and see if I can show you that if you don't know that. So if this original flu, affected 1 in 100 people, all right, you could be around 100 people and just have a 1 in 100 chance of actually picking it up. The problem with the new one is that it is, you basically have to meet very few people and you can pick it up. And therefore, if 1 in 100 here, not everybody will die from it. So, but here you're going to have so many more people affected that the death rate will go up. And so I think we're going to have to be really aware, be prepared, not scared for this to get quite a bit worse before it gets better, people. And please make sure that you are not part of the problem and make sure you are this part of the solution. Yes, Sandy is saying it's even scarier now. Our province has been in lockdown. They just extended it 2 more weeks. I haven't checked to see how much more BC is extending it for, but I'm pretty certain that we will not go back into regular. You remember when we all thought we'd all be fine again come summer, right? Yeah, it's a long time ago. But I don't know about you guys. Please feel free to participate in this, but excuse me, I'd rather be in lockdown and alive. Part of the reason that I am not going to go and see Betty Ann is because I have no idea if part of what I've got is an offshoot from something. All I do know is I don't want to be responsible for giving it to anybody else, and especially not to Betty Ann and her husband. Yeah, and something, I haven't either, Sandy. Sandy's saying I still haven't got my regular flu shot. And I found out by doing the research this week, Sandy, that I won't get the COVID shot until probably April. So, and Sharon's saying that in her state, they've extended the mask requirement through to March the 5th. Yes, that's a long time. So can you let us know which state that is, Sharon, just so we can keep people advised? And I had to go down to collect a parcel today because the silly idiot person wouldn't deliver it to my door. I'm sorry to have a judgment about the person. But what horrified me was in that small trip down 4 floors and to my front door of this building, I came across 2 people not wearing masks. And they've got notices everywhere saying, that you must wear a mask in public, in any public area in the building. And in that very short space of time, 2 residents were not wearing masks. And I was, part of me was angry. Here I am wearing 2 masks to protect you, and you're doing nothing to protect me because you're arrogant. And that's why I was angry. I should not have had to go down and expose myself that way. That's what made me angry. So, having said that, all right, so in Alabama, they have extended the wearing of masks for longer. That's good. And Sandy's saying our major mail sorting facility is having an outbreak, which makes it even more scary to pick up your mail. And I believe that the jury is still out on that business about the mail. Is everybody spraying their mail, or what are you doing? Oh, and Jody's saying in New Hampshire, their mask mandate is now in effect until at least March 26th. You're saying you're still using gloves and a bag. Tell me about the bag. You put your mail into a bag and spritz it, or how do you do it? Just so that I understand. We leave it in the garage for a few days. Yes, so I'm certain as we talk, Jody is probably researching what the latest word is about how long a germ can stay on a package. I know when, or an envelope. I know when I picked up the parcel today, it's a catch-22. What I did was I immediately cut it open, and I immediately took all the wrapping and stuffed it into a bag and sealed the bag. And then I washed my hands and the scissors, in soap and disinfectant. So, we all, and was careful not to touch my eyes or anything during that time. I don't know. So we just have to do the best that we can. And Rinsky's saying, I open mail with gloves on. Yeah. I try to leave the mail for a couple of days before I even collect it. All right, and Sandy's saying to collect it, either hubby uses gloves or an inverted bag. That's a good idea. Let's try. Do I have anything? Okay, so if this is a plastic bag, put your hand in the bag and then use that as your gloves if you don't have gloves with you. We also collect it on Sundays, knowing that it was delivered on Friday. Yes, that's what I'm doing. If I know there's been a delivery, I will leave it there for a couple of days before I go and pick it up. I don't know if that's long enough, but that's what I'm doing as well. And I only collect my mail now once a week, if I can. All right, and Rinsky's saying when she goes to get gas for her car, I wear a glove too. I actually must say that I have become really good about carrying disinfectant wipes. I carry a baggie with wet disinfectant wipes in it. I have a little disinfectant bottle on my keychain so that if one of my wet wipes gets dry, I can put new stuff on it. So everybody's got their own way of dealing with it. All right, so Jody, thank you, Jody, is saying, and I quote, coronaviruses are thought to be spread most often by respiratory droplets, all right, in other words, in the air from coughing or people shouting or talking, there are droplets that come out of our mouths, all right. Although the virus can survive for a short period on surfaces, it's unlikely to spread from domestic or international mail. That's what I was led to believe, so that hasn't changed. But again, if you've just had a courier deliver something, we don't know what that courier has touched, all right, that delivery person has touched. So be aware of that if you can. Whew, what an incredible thing to start the day with. But, we can choose to see this as a major wake-up call and do what we can. Beth, if you have more questions or need more support, feel free to just jump in here as needed. I'm going to carry on because we all need to carry on with our lives, even though this is going on. I found an interesting hack this week that I thought, perhaps my viewers would like that one. If ever you've got a squeaky hinge or something else and you can't find the WD-40 or you've run out, use some PAM spray. Just or you're trying to open something that's really difficult to open. Now, PAM spray apparently does as a second option for WD-40. All right, so Sandy's saying we leave the mail outside for at least 30 minutes and then it goes into the garage, it's opened and the contents are brought inside. No package comes inside. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do that, of course, because I live in a communal building and there is nowhere for me to do that safely. So, but, we all do the best we can. And I know that the situation where you are, Sandy, is very high at the moment, so be careful, please. We'd appreciate it if you keep taking those measures. And talking about WD-40, do you all know that you can remove marker or crayon scribbles on a wall with WD-40? I'm pretty certain you probably know that. Now, this one I didn't know, and I thought that was interesting. How do you guys clean your grout in your bathroom? And, and it was just like, I never thought to try this, but let's see what everybody else, see if anybody already does it before I add this in. How do you guys clean the grout in your bathroom? What do you use? And let's see what feedback we get. I'm trying to think. I must admit, I use scrubbing bubbles a lot, but that's it. Rinsky is asking, what are people doing about groceries? What is everyone doing these days about cleaning groceries or not? I think you need to do the best you can. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do the best you can. If you can, wash all your fruit and vegetables in vinegar and just drop it into vinegar water for a while. That will certainly help. Washing it, if you can, soap and water and then rinsing it off properly will also help. Bugs do not like soap. For some reason, bugs really don't like soap at all. So if there's any way that you can, wash anything. For your packages that you come into the house, again, wipe them down with a wet wipe if you can do that. I heard a lot of people are going in to have their rings removed off their fingers at the moment. And this is an interesting one. The reason being, an awful lot of people are using a lot of hand sanitizer. It's getting under the ring and then it's causing infection. And the funny thing was, I was hearing about this and I said, that is the very reason that when I designed this ring, don't know if you can see this, I actually had them put air vents in my ring. You see that on both sides, so that it would always be able to breathe. And and when I designed it, I said to the jeweler, and I want air vents in it because I don't want that to happen. But understand, the interesting thing I thought was that when I was hearing this story, that it was Betty Ann that had to have her ring removed. And she said she apparently was the 4th person that day to have a ring removed, because people are putting on weight and then they're not they can't get dry underneath the ring, and then it's causing infection. Interesting, right? All right, so Rinsky's saying she meant she cleans the grouch with vinegar and baking soda, not the grocery. Yeah, I understood that. Vinegar is a very good antiseptic, very good cleaner of just about everything. I used to use lemon juice and baking soda. But here's what I found out this week, and I thought that's a good idea. Try using, if you've got it, toilet cleaner. You know, the toilet cleaner stuff, that's got some pretty good stuff in it. And so, pour a little bit of that into a plastic cup or something, and if you've got an old toothbrush, and then just use that, and then rinse it all off afterwards. Now, the question is, what if it's the blue one? Don't know. Try it in a corner somewhere and see what happens. And if I'm thinking the blue will probably wash out, but I don't want to be responsible for that. But they do make a clear one that's not blue. But I thought that was an interesting one. Now, I thought I would also check with you. I like to make sure that we all learn things as far as we can. I'm pretty certain if you've been watching the news, you have heard a number of references this week to a false flag operation. False as in not real, flag as in wave the flag operation. So false flag operation. And I thought about it and I thought, I wonder if everybody knows what that is. So I think the best way that I can describe it is that is when somebody pretends to be on another side. All right, let's say you're playing a game of football or something, and you know that all your opponents are wearing blue socks. And so what you do is you put on blue socks like this so that they pass the ball to you because they're likely looking at your shoes, not at your face. And that would be a false flag operation, all right? That you're trying to disguise yourself as one of them. Does that make sense to everybody? It's used a lot in battle type terminology, in war and so forth, false flag, where apparently it started off with the pirates and things, because the pirates would pretend to be good people. And and because they would fly a flag that looked like it was the Brits or the French or whatever, they would, until they got close to you, and then they'd attack you, and then put up the Jolly Roger. So, and I believe I was doing a bit of research into this, and I think I got this right, that in fact, under marine naval terms, it is still permissible to do that. The only thing is, once you're in battle, you have to declare who you are. But apparently it's quite legal to do it in warfare. I didn't know that. Doesn't seem right to me somehow. How do you feel? But that's what false flag means, that you are pretending to be on the other side in order to gain ground or to gain knowledge or do whatever. And I would like us all to give a little bit of thought and compassion for all the people who are now in the capital, who are not only in fear from the people outside, they're now fearful of some people inside. Can you imagine what that must feel like? And for those senators who decided to to think about the good of the country rather than just the politics of it, who are now in fear of their lives. I mean, to me, it's so scary, it's not even funny. So let us give some thoughts and prayers to those people as well this week. It's really important. I think we're going to go through some pretty traumatic times in the coming year. and hopefully we'll all be here to help one another through this. It doesn't matter what your political belief is. I think we all need to deal with this in some way and help heal the country. Both, I'm thinking this is going to affect the world, not just the US. I'm pretty certain that the whole world is going to be affected by this, and there'll be major changes throughout the world. And I think it's just really sad that it has happened, but maybe, I also believe that in some ways we have to believe that there is a greater good on this somewhere. We just can't see it yet. And let's hope that there is. I wanted to ask whether anybody has tried this thing about putting soap under your bottom sheet to stop leg cramps. Has anybody ever tried that and found out whether that actually works? Because I see that a lot these days, and I thought, I wonder if anybody's tried it. Because if it does work, and I haven't heard that it has to be any particular soap, there must be something about the whatever it is, and like a bar of soap, Rinsky, yes. You can Google that and just put bar of soap in bed to stop leg cramps. Jody, of course. Yep. Jody said, I tried it. It did help me slightly, but increasing magnesium helped me more. Yes, my doctor, my respirologist put me on magnesium for my restless leg syndrome. No, that doesn't sound right. My doctor must have done that. No, you know something? My respirologist did. It was my respirologist because it was all part of that discussion about my sleep apnea. And he asked, did I also have restless leg? That's right. When I went in for the sleep apnea test, they also said that I suffered from quite significant restless leg. And then he recommended that I get more magnesium. Yeah, okay, I got that figured out now. So just an idea for those of you who, and what is restless leg syndrome? It means when you're lying in bed, your legs suddenly seem to have a little moment. I sort of, mine have quite a moment. I don't know about anybody else, but mine really twitch quite well sometimes and scare the life out of me. Now then, this one, this is ways to fill in holes in your walls. I'm pretty certain that some of you have heard to use toothpaste because toothpaste will go in there and then harden. So that's one good way. Be careful about the colored toothpaste though, people. They're also saying, think about using crayons to put, because then you can mix the colors a bit and get it to match your, if you've got a painted wall. And then the other thing I saw was some people actually find just having a bar of soap and rubbing it across the hole, it'll fill the hole, and then you can just take a damp cloth and take the excess soap away and it will fill it. So I thought that was quite clever. I'd heard about the toothpaste thing. Now, this one is pretty simple. Once like everything else in life, once you know this trick, it's pretty simple. But if ever you've got a screw that is stripped, you're having difficulty undoing it because you've stripped the head of the screw. Did you know that if you put a rubber band down and then put your screwdriver in and then do it, it will take the screw out pretty easily? Did any of you know that one? I've done that. It does work. Now, another thing that I said that we'd be talking about on a regular basis was pain, because a lot of my viewers suffer from it. And one of the questions that I had, and one of the things that Jody and I are always talking about is if you're in pain, distract your mind, get your mind to think about something else. So I had a look at the Harvard School of Medicine to see what they had to say. And I thought I would read you what it says. It says a recent study published in Current Biology found that mental distraction actually blocks the pain signals from the body before they can ever reach the brain. Human brains have a limited capacity for attention. They got attention deficit disorder, people. If you have a demanding enough task, you will have less attention to give to your pain, explains Dr. Randy Gallup, associate professor in psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. So there you go. If you're having pain and you're waiting for the pills to kick in, or you've had enough of it, do something that uses a lot of your brain power, because remember that your brain has an inability to focus on too many things at the same time. It must be a male brain. Oh, that's so wrong, Sal. Yeah, I used to have this expression. I know this is socially unacceptable, I guess, these days, but I'm going to tell you anyway. All the time that I've always been somebody, as you can imagine, right, that tinkered with woodworking and driving, forklift trucks or whatever I could do that looked like fun. I didn't mind that I was a female. I always wanted to try it. And I always used to say to myself, it can't be that difficult if men do it. And people used to crack up laughing, but I go, seriously, think about that. Men, focus on one thing at a time. Women can, answer the phone, feed the babies, change a nappy, a diaper, and cook all at the same time. And however unhealthy that might sound, but women have the ability to multitask at a whole different level. Whereas men get things done at a very different rate because they focus 100% normally on one thing at a time. And so I really, all my life, whenever I wanted to try something new, I just say to myself, it can't be that difficult. Men do it. And so, my achievement of the week is I'm perfecting the skill of ice cube tray cakes. In other words, I mix up about a third of a bag of cake mix, and I throw in an egg and whip that up. I throw in some applesauce and put that in, and then I just put it into a silicone ice cube tray, and I stick it in the microwave for a couple of minutes. And it makes these cute little cakes, which I can then put into baggies and freeze. And then every day I can pull out my little baggie. I'm allowed to have, 4 of these little cakes. And it was just like, it is such fun to do and so easy. Now you're saying, why don't you just throw the whole lot into a cake tin and cook the whole cake? Well, you know what I would eat if I did that, the whole cake. You know me well. Now, I've had a lot of feedback from people about the virtual walking and, people dusting off their Wii machine, W-I-I, Wii, not the other Wii, to get some exercise during this time. And, I've just got to say that we need to know that it's really important that you go with your gut on things. Your mind is going to tell you, you really need to do X, Y, and Z. And I want you to listen to what your mind tells you. It was really funny. If you think about it, I started the Wii around about Christmas time and got some really good results from it. But I had been talking about doing the arm roll walking for what, Jody, over a year. We did that, you, Lauren, and I did that over a year ago, right? Where we found out that we could actually do that and it would raise our heart rate into cardio if we did enough. So I've been talking about that for some time. But I've been seriously talking about it to the viewers since Christmas because I've been doing much more on the Wii. And then I've also been talking about doing the virtual walking. The reason I want to talk about this again is because Jody, in order to have her operation that she needs to have, to put the gastric sleeve on, has to go on a particular diet regimen for some time prior to the operation. But the health people that she's working with are delighted to hear, number one, that she understands the value of working with the we and playing the games, because even doing this is movement and it creates, you're using calories up while you're doing it. And also that she understands and has tried virtual walking. So isn't it strange, Jody, that a year ago I started really talking about this, and then since January I've been doing it more intensively, and now suddenly you need both those things so you can have your operation. I don't know why. It just made me smile where I went, gosh, what if I hadn't listened to those voices in my head that I need to do this? And I don't know why, and I don't have to. I just know I need to do it. And by the way, even though I wasn't losing weight at it, I just kept on doing it. And I really must say that even though I've been sick, I've been doing my best to try and get my steps in. I did have 2 days where I didn't, but I'm back. I think I'm back to I'm working at getting at least 5,000 steps a day, and somehow how I do it is up to me, but that's what I'm working on at the moment. So if any of you have had any fun with it. Well, Rinsky's saying, Mama Sal, you were the messenger for her. Yes, but you understand I didn't know that, Rinsky, at the time. You do understand that. And Jody's saying, I was so delighted that the medical center recognized that as part of my program, and so grateful that you introduced me to the walking and the we. Yeah. Little did I know that you were going to need it, Jody. But I am so delighted that I've done something that helped you in your health journey, because you've helped me so much with mine. I'm just going to continue. I did a bit more research for you guys about things that you don't need to keep in your refrigerator. And yeah, I found some others that I thought were quite interesting. I always keep my melons in the fridge. What about you guys? And they're saying don't do that. Isn't that interesting? Don't keep melon in a fridge. It's saying that your best bet is to keep these fruits on your countertop to get the best flavor. In other words, keeping it in the fridge, you're taking away from its flavor. And I did even more research into it. And what I found was a comment somewhere that said, if it's grown in the tropics, don't put it in the fridge. So pineapples, guavas, anything that is grown in the tropics, oranges, apples. Well, actually, apples are grown in apples. You can put in the fridge if you want to, but they were saying that if you put apples in the fridge, they will get soft and mealy much more quickly. If you want to keep that crispness, keep them on the countertop. Yes, tomatoes was on my list here, Sandy. Thank you for mentioning that. But do you know why they say don't put your tomatoes in the fridge? I've always put my tomatoes in the fridge. What they're saying, Sandy, is that they lose their flavor when you put them in the fridge. And I didn't know that. Right? If you want tomatoes to have a nice flavor to them, keep them out. The other thing is, I'm pretty certain you all know to keep the bananas out of the fridge, but I actually do keep mine in the fridge. And what I do is just, I buy them yellow and put them in the fridge. And then as I need another, I have this expression, heir and a spare. So I keep one banana out to ripen. And then as I start using that banana, I normally have half a banana a day in my smoothie. And I then bring out the next one to ripen. Does that make sense? So I thought that was interesting. All right, now before I carry on, do any of you have any things that you particularly would like to talk about today? Anything that's troubling you? Maybe, you know, what you're fearful of in terms of your life at the moment that you would like to discuss. This would be a good time to do it, just so that we have enough time to talk about it. And while I'm waiting for people to do that, I'm just going to carry on with a couple of quotes, just so that we don't have too big a weight here. I found an interesting series of quotes from a guy that I hadn't heard of before called Abraham Hicks. And he said, a belief is only a thought that I keep thinking. Isn't that interesting? And in terms of what Beth is going through and what so many other people are going through, he also said, the truth is the universe will always take care of you. Now, you're saying, well, what about the poor co-worker that got COVID and died? The universe, maybe, you know, we don't know. We don't know why that had to happen, but I do believe that there is always a reason. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. What do the rest of you think? Bertrand Russell, that British philosopher, said, to be without some of the things you want is an indispensable part of happiness. You know, that sounds so contrary, doesn't it? It's in order to be happy, live with less. All right, so Rinsky says, do you know how a highly sensitive person can stop being affected by things so much? Yes, Rinsky. And first of all, we all can be highly affected, all right? Some people just haven't put up the barriers as well as others. Have you heard me talk about the hamster wheel thing? You know, the main thing is to know you will always be affected. It's how long you stay affected that you want to stop, all right? Okay, so let me show this to you. And for those of you who know this, just bear with me a second, please, because it's really important. So the first thing you need to know, or I was pleased to find out, Rinsky, is that every thought you have goes through the emotional part of your brain before it goes into the rational part of the brain. Did you know that? And that is why we get caught up in that hamster wheel of emotion when we hear things. Does that make any sense, Rinsky? I didn't know it either. Okay, but it makes sense. You can see that what happens to you, you get stuck in a hamster wheel, right? And you're going round and round in circles. By the way, probably using why did that have to happen? If you find yourself asking a lot of why questions, you're in this part, you know, it's, and I can feel it for somebody else, and da 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 da. This is you getting caught in the hamster wheel. So the question is, how do you get off the hamster wheel and get into dealing with real life? All right. It actually is incredibly easy if you want to start practicing it. Do you want to know, or do you rather want to stay where you are? And I say that because once you know that you have control of it, you might not like me as much. But Jody will tell you, once you learn this trick, it's amazing how quickly you can get off the hamster wheel. Once you understand why it's happening. You want to know. Okay, fine. Here we go. So this is all caught up in emotion and has very little fact, because the facts are here. Okay? In reality. In reality, you only deal with the facts. For example, you know, my heat is going to be turned off on Monday. All right. Now, what happens in the emotion? Oh my God, what am I going to do? You're not going to be so cold. And, and why do they do that to me? And oh, I hate it when they do this stuff. And don't they know I've got stuff to do in you know? And your mind just goes round and round in the hamster wheel. Do you recognize the feeling, Rinsky? So, in order to stop this insanity, because that's what it feels like to me, I just go stop. Deal with the facts. Right? So let's do that for a second. Okay? And what I did with that example was I started to work with the facts. Number one, the fact is it's going to happen, Sal. All right? So no amount of driving myself insane is going to change that. Is that a fact? Okay? They're not going to not do whatever they need to do to the heating system just because Sal's not happy. Right? It's going to happen. It's a fact. Number two, I need to deal with it. Fact. Agreed? And number three, I choose how to deal with it. I can make it a fun day or I can make it a miserable day. Did you hear the discussion on this earlier, Rinsky? Or did you come in after that? So what I didn't do is spend a lot of time in the hamster wheel. Okay, you might want to listen to the front end of this broadcast later so you can hear exactly what my process was. But can you see that these are facts? Number one, it's going to happen. Number two, I'm going to have to deal with it in some way. Number three, I choose how to deal with it. Okay, I can make it a miserable day or I can make it a fun day. But it's still going to be a cold day in this building. So if I get to those facts pretty quickly, I've come off the hamster wheel. I'm not going around, oh my God, it's not fair, and everything. Life isn't fair. Or how about with Beth telling us that really sad story that she has in her life at the moment? Is my spending a lot of time being totally upset for Beth helping Beth? Think about that. You know, if I go a little bit what I call insane on the hamster wheel for Beth, I'm not helping Beth. I'm not helping Beth at all. All right, and that's not the help that Beth needs at this time. Beth probably, you know, needs a little bit of distraction and also to know that we're here for her. That's, you know, that's much more important. I made a big mess of my board right now. So the main thing is, Rinsky, if you're going round on the hamster wheel, say to yourself, stop, what are the facts? So do you want to give us something that you're going round the hamster wheel on so that we can help you? You'll be amazed. Jody's been practicing this for a while, and she really is so good. Okay, so here's a beautiful, not beautiful because it's sad, but yes, Vrinsky's saying, I read about a boxer that after a match went into a coma and is now in a vegetative state. And I've been going around and about that, you know, round and round. Okay, you've been in the hamster wheel on that one. So first of all, Vrinsky, may I ask you a couple of questions, honey? Just so that so that I can help you get off the hamster wheel. Okay, here we go. Number one, as a boxer, does every boxer know that there is some risk that can happen? The same if you've ever been to a chiropractor. There is, I think they all warn you before they start working on you, especially when they work on your neck. There is a very, very slight possibility that I can manipulate something here and you could end up, in a bad way. They have to warn you of that. But do we still go to the chiropractor anyway? Yes. Vrinsky, do you drive a car? Because as you know, the car is, as far as I know, the most lethal weapon we have ever designed. And yet we all choose to be aware of that, but still get in it. It is our choice to do it. So number one thing, Rinsky, did the boxer know that this was a dangerous sport, but wanted to do it anyway? It's like a racing car driver or a horse rider, show jumper, or something like that. They all know that there is a potential for bad things to happen, but they love the sport anyway. The next thing, Rinsky, did that boxer go down doing what he loved? Be it that he's now in a coma and in a vegetative state, we're not to know that he won't come out of that, because that's the other thing. Do we know of people that spent a long time in coma and then came out of it and were fine? A coma is part of the way the body protects us. Now, some go into coma and never come out of it. I understand that. But, some people, not all people die from being in a coma, and not all people stay in that vegetative state. They just die. All right. So we don't know what can happen. Agreed? And if so, I will carry on to the next question. Okay. So here's the next question. Is you going round and round in your emotional hamster wheel helping that person in any way whatsoever? No. Good. All right. Breathe. Can you feel how the shift is happening? Or is your mind saying, yes, but? You see, for some reason, our mind wants to stay in the emotional side. So if your mind says, yes, but, you go, no, we're dealing with facts right now. So only give me facts. All right? And so what I recommend you do, Rinsky, is keep saying to yourself, if I'm in the hamster wheel, I'm not dealing with facts, I'm dealing with emotion. And emotion keeps the hamster wheel turning. I need to distract my mind out of the hamster wheel. So, Jody, who is now an expert at this, what do you do to get off your hamster wheel? What is it that you have learned over the time that you've been here at DearMamaSal that helps you? It is so true. It works like a hot damn, Rinsky. You will be amazed. I'm not joking. I opened up the email. It said no heat on Monday. And I went, and then I went, stop. No heat. I got electricity. Yay. I immediately switched out of what I hadn't got into what have I got. Work on what you can do. Can you help the family of that man? Yes, if you really feel strongly about that, maybe they've got some sort of GoFundMe page or something to help the family of that man. Maybe he was married and has children. You can do something if you really want to. But if you can't, then let it go. Feel the feeling. Very important to feel the feeling, Rinsky. Don't ever stop your feelings, right? There are a lot of us that have lived our lives shutting down our feelings, and that wasn't healthy either. So feel the feelings. I assure you, when I read that, I was not a happy camper, but it just was for a split second. And then I laughed and went, okay, that's not getting me anywhere. What am I going to do? What can I do? Right? Work on what you can do. Jody is saying it's a process, and practicing the turnaround time has been a game changer for relieving stress. Yes, you're going to start off that it takes a while to get off the hamster wheel because it's comfortable in the hamster wheel. It's what you've done all your life. But you want to get off it, just stop the hamster wheel, go, put the brakes on a second. Let me get a piece of paper. What are the facts? Okay. I've rubbed out the facts, but was there any emotion in the facts, or was it just factual? Were there any yes buts in the facts? I know, Rinsky, it is life-changing. I got to tell you, I literally was doing some research in emotional intelligence, and I just saw this one little line, and it said the messages go through our emotional part of the brain before they get to the reality. And I went, why didn't they tell me that a long time ago? And then I thought, if I didn't know that, maybe my viewers don't know it either. And that's when I started, make a great book, wouldn't it? Get off the hamster wheel. Yes, you couldn't let it be, could you? You actually thought you were capable of changing his life in some way by being miserable. I don't think it helps him at all, quite honestly. That's the fact. And the yes buts, really, let them go. You were just driving yourself insane for no good reason, Rinsky. Either do something about it, send money to the family, and then get on with your life. Or let it go. It's like, but feel the feeling because it's important. You care. You're a nice human, right? You care about things. Jody used to turn herself into an emotional pretzel about everything. Now, Rinsky, just so you know, this is new to me too. I can remember when Princess Diana died, I was in literally a hamster wheel for about 5 days. I don't know if any of you found that as well. I'm pretty sure that when 9/11 happened, we all spent some time going, what the heck happened here? I felt so safe. How many of you felt that when the riots happened at the Capitol? You see, they're going to be life events that turn our hamster wheels really fast. My hamster wheel, wants to go around this whole riot thing. And the people, and you know what I keep thinking to myself, Rinsky? I do not need to actually equate the riots with the Republicans. That's what I've decided. I've got to stop doing that. Yes, some of the people who were, because the riot that was not by everybody, it was just by a group of people. And so I have to keep remembering that this isn't a Republican thing. This was a right-wing extremist thing, all right? And I'm seeing today that a lot of those people were ex-militia and military people. And so I realized that I've been doing the Republicans a disservice by, not isolating those few people out. Good, Rinsky, you know that. The blame game does not help anybody, all right? Who do you want to blame? The poor, can you imagine? I would like you to put some prayers for the poor guy that hit him and put him in that coma. Can you imagine what he must be feeling like? He was just enjoying his sport and trying to win, and he put a guy into a coma. Can you imagine what he is dealing with? But no amount of blame that he puts on himself is going to change the inevitable. All right? We cannot change yesterday. It's done. We can only work on today, and we don't know if we'll have tomorrow. So there's no point. You remember what I've said? If we concentrate on the past, that's called depression. If you think about it, right? Whenever we're depressed, we're putting our thoughts into the past. What I should have done differently, guilt word. Why did people treat me like that? I found that dropping the word why, it really helped me get out of depression. All those sort of things, right? Deal in the reality. It happened, get over it, move on. But I wanted to punish people, Rinsky. I wanted somebody to pay for this, whatever. But, I now know this is not helping me or my mental health. I need to just move on. I need to feel it. It's okay to feel it. Now, move on. And not to worry too much about next week or next year, because that's called anxiety. Does that make sense? When we worry about, well, it's the whole of the US coming to civil war now, that will cause anxiety. And, what we need to deal with, what's happening today. Is there any way that I can help today? How many of you know that we need to stop a lot of what is going on in hate across the world, right? And we are each of us responsible for that, if we can. And I would say that I look at it and go, so much of what is going on is beyond our control. And unfortunately, so much of what is going on has already got, in media circles, I used to be in the media business for a while, it has legs, you know what I mean? It's got momentum. And so right-wing extremism did not have legs. It existed, but 5 years ago, it didn't have legs. The last 4 years, it has got legs, all right, because they had somebody that was supporting them. So now you've got a whole right-wing movement that now suddenly has much more power than it ever had before. And so if any of you are concerned about that, you have every right to be. And I think, you should be. Because those things are not based on rational thinking. They are based on killing people that don't agree with you. And, we heard that. Right? Even though Pence could not make the call, now they're going to hang Pence because he wouldn't tell the lie. That is not rational thinking, people. And so to me, that's where the hamster wheel can lead you if you're not careful. You're not dealing in true facts. You're dealing in, get tied up in the emotion of it. Can you imagine that riot crowd literally walked over a woman and killed her by trampling her to death? You can go into the hamster wheel on that one, Rinsky, if you'd like something to play with for a couple of days. Who should we blame? All right? But you and I both know the facts are that's the sort of thing that happens in a riot. People get out of control. People are pushing from the back. And even if you didn't want to trample her, you're being pushed by so many people. You have no, you can't go up in the air. You have to go forward. And that lady was in front of you. So there are people that are going to be injured in a riot. That's why you stay away from riots, big time. And the blame game is not going to help that woman. She is dead. And I am certain there are an awful lot of people that did not do the walk on the Capitol with the idea of killing people. And, I believe that. I believe a few actually were happy for the opportunity. That's in their DNA. But I think the majority of people didn't ever expect that to happen. But it did happen. And they were caught up in the moment. And so to me, Rinsky, we get to choose all the way along the line. We are adults. So let us go back. How do you feel about the boxer now? Do you see it any differently? Not as sad. All right. Not as sad, but part of you is still sad. That's okay, because you're working on this. All right. So just remember, if you're in the hamster wheel, and you can be back there in the next 10 minutes if you want to, be my guest. If you like being in the hamster wheel, I'm not going to force you out of it. But if you're saying, this hamster wheel has really wrecked my life in so many ways, and I don't want to be in it anymore. Now, Rinsky, you've known me long enough to know that I have a side of me that, is pretty vulnerable at times. I still cry at movies, I still, do all those things that is, quite human. I don't stay there anymore. I don't cry for days anymore. What I do is I go, okay, fine, that was the emotion. Of course it was sad. That doggy didn't deserve to die, or neither did they. Why did they have to shoot the horse? Whatever. I understand now why I'm upset. And then I go, yeah, but that was a movie, so get over it and move on. The fact is, it didn't happen in real life. Now, if it's a real life story, like Schindler's List, for example, you go, yes, it really happened. And I want to just talk about Schindler's List for a second, because it is the anniversary of the Holocaust. But it's like, I think it's really important that we understand that we all need to be aware of what happened at the Holocaust, but driving ourselves into depression, thinking about how terrible that was, is not helping anybody who survived it. And those who didn't survive it, we're not helping them either. What will help them, and what I'm pretty certain they would wish for us all to do, is not to let it happen again. And that is where you come out of the hamster wheel and go, what can I do? Not how much can I beat up on myself and make myself miserable and sick and depressed or anxious, but what can I do today? Right? And when you think, what can I do? What are the facts here? What can I do? It changes your whole perspective. Thank you for talking about it, Rinsky. You realize how many people you're going to help just because you had the courage to ask that question? Do you realize how many people are going to hear this part of the story and be helped thanks to you? I hope so. And how does that feel? I think it was a great study, a great case study that, the same as mine at the beginning, is about real life happening. You got caught up in the hamster wheel. No, not thanks to me, thanks to you. You're the one that had the courage to talk about it. And, that's what people, you guys want to put me on some pedestal, that I really don't belong on a pedestal. You see, DearMamaSal is a group of people. I'm just the voice of it. But if you weren't here asking that question, we wouldn't be talking about how to get off the hamster wheel. But the fact that you asked and were brave enough to ask means a lot of people will be helped. Jody mentioned it to me, how kind of her, that she noticed, when she was doing the sewing thing, that she doesn't get caught up in beating up on herself anymore. She just moves on. Yes, and Jody's saying we all learn and grow when we share our vulnerable moments. All right? I had a vulnerable moment last week that I was talking about. Remember? And this is quite normal. But can I make any change to what happened to me? Golly gee, 67 years ago. I cannot change that. It's always going to be there. And by the way, Rinsky, I am smart enough to know that that tape will be in my head for the rest of my life. All right. Somewhere in my the deep filing cabinet of my brain is that story about the boxes filled with love. And every now and then my brain, something will happen and my brain plays me back that part of tape. And I'm not a happy person. And I cry. But the difference is now I know what's happening. And I know that it is my job to get control and get on with my life. So understand that you being brave enough to talk about the question and the boxer, did I feel the love that you had and that you would not want this man to go through? You bet. You bet. But in a way, do you understand it is not something that is helping him. It is damaging you and it's not helping him. So get off the hamster wheel and say, what can I do to help? And I'm hoping that the picture helped as well, Rinsky, because sometimes, that picture is really important, that you can see that thought about that guy had to go into your emotional part of your brain and it got caught in there. You just didn't know how to get out of there. And you get out of it by going, stop, let me find out what the facts are. And your brain is so used to being in the hamster wheel that it'll go, yeah, yes, but, I need you to be really miserable now because he's in a vegetative state. And, your answer is, I understand that. And I cannot change that. I am not a doctor, nor am I God. So I cannot change it. I can feel for him and his family, but I cannot change it. The facts are, it is what it is. Yes, but da 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 da, and your brain is so used to being in the hamster wheel, it keeps saying yes, but to try and suck you back into the hamster wheel. Does this make any sense, Rinsky? It wants you back where it can control you, where it's comfortable for it. And yes, but pulls you back into the hamster wheel. And I talk back, I must admit, in my head, I talk back to my yes, buts. I go, yeah, but I choose not to go there. I choose to stay in reality. The reality is dealt in facts. I cannot help the boxer. I do not know how to contribute to his family. So I can either do some research and find out if there is a GoFundMe page or whatever. I'll ask the big computer in the sky called Google, is there any way to support this guy? And then I can make a decision. Even then, I need to make a decision. Is that what I really want to do or not? And am I doing it because I want to help, or am I doing it so I will feel better? Because if I really want to help, then I should do it. But if I'm just doing it to try and make myself feel better, then I need to get control of my feelings. And that is dealing with the facts. I am actually very short of money at the moment, but I can spare $5. So let me contribute $5. Then I will have done both. I will have dealt with it. I will have done something about it. And now I can move on. And maybe every now and then I will check back on the news feeds to find out, have we heard any more about this guy? All right? But I don't need to live on the hamster wheel. Rinsky, thank you so much. You're thanking me, but thank you so much. They say something in theater, and I used to be a performer on stage in that I was a professional speaker. And one of the things that you learn is don't top a topper. And I'd like to say, Rinsky, that you and the story of the boxer is a great way for us to finish this. And to remember that we live a life of great abundance. But what we do is we keep letting our emotion and our hamster wheel interrupt our life. We waste as much time in our hamster wheel as we do on Facebook and Twitter and on YouTube. It's like it is a huge time waster. Think of all the good you could do instead of going on the yes but route, and just go, something, yes but is not of interest to me today. I've decided I don't want to do anything about it. I'm moving on. End of story. Now, does it mean it won't come back into your mind every now and then? Of course not. You care. It will come back. But now you can control it if you choose to. Get off the hamster wheel by dealing with the facts. And I have to tell you that it changed my life. And it definitely, from what I hear from Jody, it changed hers as well. And we'd be delighted to hear how you do with this. Keep practicing it. You'll find that at the beginning, it takes a long time to get off the hamster wheel. And after a year, you're going to find I can get straight off that hamster wheel now. I just have to make the choice to deal with the facts. I loved whoever it was and can't remember which one of the viewers. I don't know if you heard about this one, Rinsky, but one of the viewers opened up her basement door to find her basement was flooded. Did you hear about this one? I'm going to top the topper. Because it will. And okay, so that's what she did. She opened up her basement door and she saw that her basement was flooded. Now, what would you do? Go on the hamster wheel? Probably, but listen to what she did. You see, she was a viewer and she'd been a viewer for some time and she understood the hamster wheel. She went, oh, a flood. Not much I can do about that. She closed the door. Listen to this, Rinsky. She closed the door, grabbed her purse, got in the car, drove to her mother, got her mother to make her coffee, and then phoned the plumber and said, I need your help. This is beyond my pay grade. No hamster wheel. And she actually wrote to me and said, I don't know how to thank you, Sal, because I literally went, oh, yeah, beyond my pay grade. Would you like to have that much control, Rinsky? And she said it was in that moment she realized that she understood. It was our Emma. Okay. So do you understand that she realized in that moment that she knew how to get off the hamster wheel? It was just like, yeah, well, no amount of panicking is going to make a lot of difference here. You know, I need to get out of here and get a plumber. No, she didn't have to get out. She just chose to go out and have a coffee and then found the This is DearMamaSal saying, coping with life is a skill and one that we keep learning about every week. It is a great story. I love it. I can actually see somebody doing it. Oh, yeah, beyond my pay grade. You know, close the door. If I close the door, I can't see it anymore. That's a fact. I don't have to deal with it. That's, you know, I need a plumber to deal with it. I can't deal with it. I don't have the skill. I'm out of here. Wonderful. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you guys for all the wonderful stories that I get to tell because you hung around to tell them and to give me ways of helping other people. Shut the door. Get off the hamster wheel. Shut the door, deal with facts, and move on with your life. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember to look after one another. Rinsky, you always will be somebody that cares about other people. But I want you to seriously think about whether you do it to such an extent that it's ruining part of your life. It doesn't mean you don't feel anymore. It doesn't mean you don't care anymore. I remember Judy, for all of you that know Judy. Judy saying to me one day, Mama Sal, how can you possibly do the work that you do? It must really hurt your heart for all the sad stories that you get in email. Actually, she was literally, we were in California one time and I was opening up emails and, you know, I had about 4 different really bad emails, bad in as much people were suffering. And Rinsky, Judy could see my body language change as I opened up each one and I was going, oh my God, and wow. Yeah, things like this. And then she said, what's happening? And I said, no, I've just opened up a number of emails and they're all quite serious, Jude. And she said, I don't know how you do what you do. I don't know how you can do that every day of your life and not be affected by it. And I go, I choose to see that people trust me to try and help them. So I don't get caught up in what their stuff is. I concentrate on what can I do to help this human? Thank you for giving me that opportunity today, Rinsky. This is DearMamaSal saying, we can do this together. It's going to get worse before it gets better is the reality. And we can hold each other's hands and find ways to struggle through and be so grateful that we're still alive to be able to do it, unlike Beth's co-worker. I think give thanks every day, people. Let's do this together. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much and bye-bye for now.